Caution, the following review will have spoilers, so please, watch at your own risk. Have an awesome day. What's up, you guys? I'm Chibi Joe, and I'm here to do the very first episode of my reviews of RWBY Volume 5, Episode 1. But first, I think we need a change of scenery. Much better. I have to be honest with you guys, my opinion of RWBY changes with every volume. With Volume 1, it made me intrigued for the universe and the world that we're visiting, but not very enthralled or really caring about the characters except for maybe Jean Arc. Then with Volume 2, I started seeing more of the unmet potential in the characters, which made me wanted to watch more to find out if they would eventually meet those potentials. And then Volume 3 came out, and it was just like a breath of fresh air. Plus, killing Penny was always a bonus for me.
It's the best day ever.
However, with every Penny death that brought me joy, there was the dreaded Silver Eyes thing they did that really aggravated me. I hate it so much. With such a deep passion, it made RWBY special just because she's special, rather than RWBY being special because she trained really hard and became almost a prodigy huntress, and it made Grimm that much less intimidating, something that had started from the Red trailer. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest. And with Volume 4, which is my personal favorite volume so far, because we learned so much about the world and the characters, and yeah, there was the time problem, but we just learned so much about the world, and it made me excited again to start watching RWBY. Enough about those, though. They're in the past, and now it is time for Volume 5. Let's see what Rooster Teeth gave us. So Crow starts off Episode 1 with talking about reaching their destination. And everyone seems pretty happy after all they've been through, which isn't a bad thing. I saw it more as they finally made it. They have this huge burden lifted off their shoulders. They're relieved. It's not that they were happy because they're joyful. It was happy because the journey's over. After they get through the tunnel, they see Mistral for the first time, and sweet Mama Oobleck, this looks beautiful. Look at this. This is amazing. And why is everyone frozen? These aren't screenshots. This is literally how it was shown in the show. Is this like the largest game of freeze tag? Because seriously, no one is moving anywhere. Still beautiful though. So green point is added. The scene switches to Weiss and the pilot she paid off, talking about whether or not she was being a burden. When a mayday was called through the radio and Weiss wanted to help, but the pilot said no because he wanted to do his job and go home, and this was his ship, his rules. Weiss was not happy, but I can definitely see the pilot's point. He says he's in a cargo ship. Cargo ships are not known for their combat prowess. So, another green point. Back with Team Junior, we're in a very empty Haven Academy. Probably because they're busy playing freeze tag somewhere. Where Crow gets suspicious and kicks open the headmaster's door, making Leonardo Lionheart, badass name, nearly wet himself. Crow then accuses him for leaving the relic unguarded by sending the staff and the students home. And Lionheart then acts really weird when Crow had already filled the kids in on what the relics were. Another green point. I actually really liked this introduction to Lionheart. It shows him as the representation of the cowardly lion from Wizard of Oz. So, yeah, green point. Blake Dad and son barge into the Belladonna home, yelling an agreement that they can't get away with this. And luckily, we aren't in the dark too long about who they is before Ilya shows up and Blake says that the main branch of the White Fang was denying everything when they all knew that they were equally to blame from the evidence that was shown on the scroll. Blake also reveals that they're going to reveal the evidence found on the scroll publicly tomorrow. Ilya tells Blake that her plan will not work and that she needs to leave as soon as possible. Blake says that the White Fang will have to make her, and Ilya left, already knowing that when she walked in. This scene gets another green point from me. I really liked how this is setting up where this storyline is going for the volume. Back with Team Junior, Lionheart calls Crow reckless for what he has all done to get there. Crow calls Lionheart reckless for all that he has done, like not contacting anybody and leaving the relic unguarded. Okay, Crow, I gotta be honest. What you did was extremely reckless. You endangered your niece. Or daughter. I don't know. The fan base keeps leading me astray. But seriously, Crow, that was a bad idea. Lionheart reveals that there was no need to contact anyone until the fall of Beacon Academy. And then now, Mistral is in chaos from all the fear and dread that happened from everyone seeing the fall of Beacon attracting Grimm. Plus, he mentions that Atlas has set a dust embargo and closed the borders from Anima, which I like how this is brought up, since it was also brought up from the other end in Volume 4. I just love seeing more politics within the RWBY world. I love the world building, even though I believe it's a little late, but hey, better late than never, and because of that, you get a delayed green point. The kids then ask about the maidens, and we learn a metric ton of information. Like that each maiden has access to one relic. Winter, the gift of creation. The summer, the gift of destruction. Fall, for the gift of choice. And spring is the gift of knowledge. We also learn that the Spring Maiden was determined, but eventually ran away from her maiden training and was captured soon after. Which makes me wonder, who trains maidens? Since the four of them are busy, being the maidens. Are people taught to train the maidens? If so, how many people truly know about the maidens? If enough people are trained to train maidens, how secret is this really? Anyways, we continue on and learn that Raven and the Brownwind tribe captured the Spring Maiden, and Professor Lionheart is ecstatic because now they know where the maiden is at. But after he states it, may be a few weeks before they can get a task force to move forward, Crow gets mad and says they don't have that kind of time. Lionheart mentions that he has to convince the council that he needs hunters more than they do. More politics, I love it! Also, there are some things said by Crow that makes it sound that the Spring Maiden joined Raven? Or is at the very least just kind of hanging out? I honestly don't know, but it really doesn't sound like the Spring Maiden is any true danger, but oh well, we'll see. After Team Junior and Crow leaves, Watts' emblem appears on Lionheart's desk, which I find hilarious that Watts has his own insignia, and he mentions that Lionheart's improvisation skills are subpar at best. I really liked that little tidbit because it showed that what we saw in Volume 4 is still applicable here, and oh my goodness, this is fun. Oscar walks up to a drinking Crow. The ending scene of Volume 4 happens, which, by the way, was amazing in my opinion, much better than that disappointment of an after-credits scene of Volume 2. So, a green point just for being better than Volume 2. Also, I love Crow's face for that split second that Oscar looks like he's just talking to himself. Next, we see Yang at a nowhere bar, and the bartender says that she looks too young to drink, but she wants an order of water anyways. While the bartender is taking his damn time getting that water, a creepy drunk guy starts hitting on Yang and gets put down like a punk. And a rubber ball as he bounces out of the bar. Also, as she was going for the water, her hands started trembling, which shows me that she was not over her trauma, and I can't wait to see where that goes. You also find out that she is actually going after Raven instead of going to RWBY, which I personally really liked. It gives time for people to individually grow rather than grow as a group. And even though the show is called RWBY, I don't know. I think growing as an individual is more important than growing as a group at this point. So, can't wait to see where this goes. This guy starts traveling with her. The scene goes to Jean, Nora, and Ren hanging out at the house they are staying at while in Mistral, and a knock at the door is heard. Jean answers, and it is Oscar asking for Ruby Rose, which puts everyone on edge, making sense because they haven't had the best of luck with people wanting to see Ruby Rose. Then Crow shows up completely drunk, yelling about how he finally found him, and he lays on the couch when Ruby walks down, wondering what the racket was about. And Ruby, seeing her uncle drunk and laying on the couch, asks if he got drunk again, and Crow responds with, "Maybe." Oscar mentions Silver Eyes, getting the question about who he was. Oscar introduces himself as Oscar Pine, with Crow drunkenly saying, "Wait for it." And after he reveals that he is Ozpin, Crow yells, "I did it!" And then hits face first on the floor. And that's the episode. This definitely deserves another green point. Also, this new intro is badass. Like, all of it, the cinematic and the song both are just perfection. It makes me very pumped and excited to see the rest of this season. RWBY Volume 5 Episode 1 has received 100% with 8 greens and 0 reds. The lines were delivered well, the episode was paced well, probably because of all the stories happening around the same time, rather than just sporadically with Volume 4. The jokes made me laugh, and even though some people hated the guy bouncing around after Yang's punch, I personally loved it, thought it was funny. I hope the volume will continue on this trend, because wow, this was a really good first episode for this volume. So, that's all I have for you guys today. So please, when you are leaving, make way to the like button concession table. We do in fact have punch and cookies. And guys, I will see you next time. Have an awesome day.